From getting brutally murdered in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to delivering an award-winning performance in Anora, Mikey Madison has taken an unexpected path to Hollywood's biggest stage. But who is she? And how did she go from relative obscurity to beating out legendary actresses like Demi Moore for the Academy Award? The deeper I dove into Madison's story, the more questionable it became as to how she garnered this success out of nowhere. Suddenly, the girl who had mostly played supporting roles was being hailed as the next great actress of her generation. But what exactly led to this moment? So I continued to dig, and I later realized two major factors came into play that made me ask, if these two things were not involved, would she have still won the Oscar? And if I'm being honest, I think my answer would be no. But I'll let you be the judge of that, so let's get into it. Mikey Madison isn't your typical Hollywood starlet. She didn't come from a famous family, she wasn't a child actor, and her rise to fame has been far from traditional. Her journey wasn't marked by instant stardom, but it was unexpected. Mikey Madison, born Michaela Madison Roseberg in Los Angeles in 1999, didn't grow up dreaming of red carpets and flashing cameras. Unlike many young actors who started auditioning as kids or have parents in the industry, Mikey's childhood was quite different. She actually wanted to be an equestrian. Growing up, she was more focused on riding and caring for horses than memorizing lines or performing in front of a camera. But as she got older, things changed. Acting wasn't on her radar at first, but she had a twin brother who was interested in filmmaking. Through him, she started getting exposed to the world of movies, scripts, and storytelling. Eventually, she developed an interest in acting and decided to give it a shot. However, breaking into Hollywood is never easy, especially for someone with no major connections in the industry. Like most aspiring actors, Mikey started at the bottom. She went through the grueling audition process, waiting in long lines, performing for casting directors who barely looked up from their notes, and facing rejection after rejection. Her early work mostly consisted of small independent projects and short films, the kind that doesn't get much attention but helped her build experience. It was a slow start, and for a while it seemed like acting might just be a side passion rather than a full-time career. That all changed in 2016 when she landed her first big role in FX Better Things, a critically acclaimed dark comedy drama created by Pamela Adlon. The show follows the life of a single mother raising three daughters in Los Angeles while juggling her career as a working actress. Mikey played Max Fox, the oldest daughter, an angsty, rebellious teenager struggling with growing up. It wasn't a flashy role, but it was a deeply relatable one, and Mikey brought a raw, natural energy to the character. She wasn't trying to play the perfect TV daughter. Her performance was messy, moody, and real. For the next few years, Mikey continued to work on the show while slowly building her career. Unlike some young actresses who jumped straight into blockbuster movies or high-profile roles, her path was more gradual. She was picking up experience, refining her skills, and waiting for the right opportunity. Looking back, Better Things was a turning point for Mikey. It might not have made her a household name overnight, but it gave her the momentum she needed to push forward in Hollywood. And soon, that momentum would lead her to her biggest roles yet and her unexpected rise to Oscar-winning status. It wasn't until 2019 when Mikey started to break into movies. That year, she landed a small voice role in the animated movie The Addams Family. She voiced a minor character named Candy, the server, which wasn't a huge deal, but it was her first step into bigger productions. However, her real breakthrough that year came when she was cast in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The film was one of the most anticipated movies of the year, featuring an all-star cast that included Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. The movie was a tribute to the golden age of Hollywood, but it also explored the infamous Manson family murders, one of the darkest chapters in Hollywood history. Mikey played Suzanne Atkins, also known as Sadie, one of the real-life Manson family members. In real history, Atkins was deeply involved in the brutal murders orchestrated by Charles Manson, and Tarantino used his signature style to rewrite history in the film. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's climax, instead of successfully carrying out their murder spree, they get completely completely annihilated in an over-the-top violent showdown. Mikey's character, Susan Atkins, meets a particularly brutal end when Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton, take down the intruders. The scene was shocking, violent, and in true Tarantino fashion, completely over the top. Audiences could not stop talking about it. Even though Mikey had a small role, the film exposed her to a massive audience. It was her first time being a part of a high-profile Oscar-winning movie. More importantly, she proved that she could hold her own in a film filled with A-list actors. After the buzz from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Mikey landed another major role in 2022's Scream, a reboot of the legendary horror franchise. In the film, she played Amber Friedman, one of the movie's killers. Unlike her previous roles, this one gave her a chance to show a more unhinged and terrifying side of her acting. It was clear she had range. Still, all of these roles were too small to make Mikey Madison a household name. That all changed with Anora. When director Sean Baker cast Mikey as the lead in Anora, he took a gamble. Up until that point, she never carried a film on her own. But Baker, known for directing films like The Florida Project and Red Rocket, saw something in her. The film tells the story of a young sex worker in Brooklyn who gets caught in a whirlwind romance with the son of a Russian oligarch. It's gritty, raw, and emotionally charged. Everything the award season loves. And Mikey delivered. Critics raved about her performance, calling it one of the most fearless portrayals of the year. Some compared her intensity to early Natalie Portman, while others called her the new indie darling of Hollywood. By the time award season rolled around, Anora was already making a strong impression. The film had become a favorite among indie movie lovers, with critics praising its raw emotional storytelling. But while people were talking about Anora, Mikey Madison wasn't necessarily the biggest name in the race for Best Actress. For months, the conversation surrounding the Best Actress category had been centered around Demi Moore's performance in The Substance. Many critics believed it was her best role in years, and Hollywood tends to love a comeback story. Going into the Oscars, Moore was the clear favorite, with some even calling her win a done deal. Now, this is where things start to get a bit questionable. Deeper into award season, Mikey started picking up momentum. She won Best Actress at the BAFTA Awards and the Film Independent Spirit Awards in several critics' awards. These wins signaled that Anora had struck a chord with industry insiders. Still, most predictions pointed towards Moore taking home the Oscar, with Mikey being considered more of a dark horse contender. But how is it that an indie film with a meekly budget of only $6 million was even able to make such a splash when it was up against a star-studded cast and a $17.5 million budget of The Substance? Keep watching and you'll find out. So Oscar night came, and as the names of the nominees were read, Mikey sat among Hollywood's biggest stars, looking calm but a little nervous. The presenter finally announced, and the Oscar goes to Mikey Madison, Anora. There was a moment of stunned silence before the audience erupted into applause. Even Mikey herself seemed completely shocked. She made her way to the stage, clearly overwhelmed. Unlike some actors who come prepared with lengthy speeches, Mikey's reaction felt completely unfiltered, like she genuinely hadn't expected to win. When she finally got to the microphone, she took a deep breath and thanked Anora's director, Sean Baker, for believing in her. She also acknowledged the other nominees, including Demi Moore, saying how honored she was to even be mentioned alongside them. At one point, Mikey admitted that just a few years ago, she was unsure if she'd ever make it in Hollywood. Now she was standing on stage with an Oscar in her hands. It was a full circle moment, going from the small indie films and supporting roles to winning the highest honor in the industry. Now, if you ask me, that doesn't seem quite right, and this is where I dug deeper. As I started to look into past winners, I found a pattern that only applied to the female Best Actress category. The past 28 Oscar winners for Best Lead in a Female Role have all appeared nude on film. I went further back and realized this was the case for many other winners. Now, don't get me wrong, other winners have won without going nude, but it does seem to be becoming a pattern. Go nude, win an Oscar. Now, some may say, well, Demi Moore was nude in The Substance. She was, but one, her role was only in about half of the film, and I'm pretty sure you can guess the other major difference. age. Hollywood has always favored younger, fresher talent, more specifically for women. When I look back at the ages of Oscar winners, I found Adrien Brody was the youngest man to win Best Actor at the age of 29. However, women have been winning Oscars as young as 10 years old, when Tatum O'Neal won it for Best Supporting Actress, and Marlee Matlin was the youngest to win Best Actress at the age of 21. The Academy clearly favors younger female actresses, while they prefer their male leads to be older and more seasoned. However, this wasn't as shocking once I found out Neon, the production and film distribution company, spent $18 million on Anora's Oscar campaign. They spent nearly 3 times the film's budget to get it in front of Oscar voters. This isn't the first time Neon has used this tactic. They found this strategy worked back in 2020 when they used $20 million to campaign for Parasite, which also ended up winning the Oscar for Best Picture. I don't know about you, but this sounded quite fishy to me. Neon didn't use this tactic until Tom Quinn became CEO, and with only 5 years of him in this position, they have taken home 2 Best Pictures from the Academy. While this style of marketing is risky and has an air of bribery, Neon is beginning to attract some of the top filmmakers. Nevertheless, it still makes me ask, was the Oscar bought? Because let's be honest, I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time. Neon likes to talk up this strategy as bold grassroots campaigning. The first viewing of Anora was for sex workers only. They also created pop-up merchandise sales throughout Los Angeles for the film. While this may seem innocent, these are just smaller steps that lead towards getting Academy voters to turn their heads. It's all about the big picture, and that is taking home that gold little man. After the ceremony, the entertainment world was buzzing about her win. Some called it the biggest shock of the night. Others praised the Academy for recognizing a fresh young talent rather than playing it safe. I don't want to discredit Anora. It was, in fact, a good film. I watched it myself and liked it, but with all the buzz surrounding the film, I was expecting more. So it seems Neon's approach to marketing worked and got me to watch the film. Now, without this marketing style and a hot young actress nude for large parts of the film, do I think it would have taken home the Oscar? No, but I want to hear what you think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.